Right. Well, hello, Clesia.
Hello, Dr. Anne Curtis. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Very good. Yes. I just, in fact, have you been to the gym this morning?
I have, yes. And I had a little bit of a drama this morning after I came home because I was like, oh my God, everyone has seen me with the blue dress. And I've got a couple of favorites, but they're not suitable to come on.
Oh, I see.
I have nothing to wear. Drama.
Yeah. And I've been doing exercise too, but I'm very different from yours. I haven't seen a friend of mine for a while, so I thought the only way I would get to see her is if I go for a walk with her. She walks her dogs first thing in the morning. So I thought if I go for a walk with her this morning, I will actually get to see her. Mm-hmm. So I arranged to go for a walk at 8 o'clock this morning, and it was pouring with rain. Absolutely pouring with rain and howling gale, and so I took my dad's dog as well,
right?
And we went and we just got soaked. I mean, the sea was huge because we were walking on the North Coast path for a bit of it, and luckily the rain was behind us. And then when we got halfway round, the rain stopped, so we didn't have to walk back into it. So I was a bit windswept, but yeah. But did get some exercise, and it's lovely being out in it. Just really nice being in the elements. I like it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and it's kind of interesting you're talking about the elements, because it just occurred to me that the weather is quite equivalent to what sometimes goes in our own minds, isn't it? And I was having the little drama about nothing to wear. Trust me, I've got plenty to wear. In that mind, I had this storm of thought going on, and I couldn't see anything. And then as my timeline got shorter, and we had a meeting, we had an agreement, and I was like, okay, this will do. So if they find too glamorous, oh well.
You're looking lovely. You're looking lovely. Like you're going to a party. So we're having a party now.
Oh, we are. Yeah. Have you noticed the heart-shaped thing?
Yeah.
Love.
I put my party dress on now, though.
You can put your party dress on the next episode.
Next time's my turn. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Actually, it's very interesting because I was listening to Anthony talking about Skicology. Have you listened to his Skicology? Mm-hmm. And because he teaches people this understanding of how it's only thought that gets in the way of not just enjoying skiing, but relaxing and being good at it and so on. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to him talking about that yesterday, and he was saying how people he's taught these principles to who've actually got it will come off the mountain when it's been absolutely awful weather. It's been raining and you can't see a hand in front of you, and they'll come off and they'll say, I had the best day skiing I've ever had. And the friends are all going, where were you? Awful weather. But because they were not busy with their thinking, they were just enjoying themselves and having a great time. And yeah, so that's what this is all about, is enjoying yourself and having a great time. Yes. Whatever you're doing in your relationships. And yeah. So what came to my mind was something very interesting this week, was something completely different from what we talked about before, about a problem that I know a lot of people have in relationships, which is around infidelity. And around either
yeah, go on. Just a quick one. I don't know if I cut your flow of thought but when you said the word infidelity, straight away a question popped into my mind: infidelity to themselves or infidelity to someone else? Yeah.
Okay. So all of it really is what I was going to say, is because so many people are either worried that their partner is going to be unfaithful to them, and they ruin their whole relationship worrying that their partner will be or might be or is being, and they're so busy in that thinking that they're not actually in the moment and enjoying the relationship. And then it tends to be a self-fulfilling thing because then they're so busy in their thinking that they're not connecting with their partner, and then their partner feels as if they're not, they're not in the relationship, and without meaning to, without, they sometimes get into their thinking, and then they find someone else who they do connect with. So it can be a self-fulfilling thing. And then there's when it's interesting as well, because some people think, oh, if I'm really in love with someone, I shouldn't have any feelings about anyone else. I shouldn't ever have any feelings, and they shouldn't ever have any feelings about anyone else. And if they do, that means they don't love me. It's all just busy thinking. It's all just thoughts. All just thoughts, yeah.
What occurred to me is busy thinking, and is a lot of, I would say, insecure thinking even, because when I was in my first long-term relationship, I would to say myself, first of all, number one, I was very selective in choosing a partner, right? I went on plenty of number one coffee dates that didn't lead to anything, and I was very clear about what sort of person I would like to share my life with, and I gave it to the universe, if you will. If that person shows up, great. If not, I'm very happy with myself, living by myself. And when that person came along, because I kind of felt that, yes, I had invited them to share my life, and vice versa. He invited me into his family and so on, and I was very well received by his family. My way of living was, if he wants to, go and find someone else, he may as well stay with with them, because I don't want them back. If I'm not the best thing that ever happened to them, I don't want them back, and he may as well go and find someone else. But I know I've got a kind of a different point of view. I live my life a little bit differently, which we all do, because we all live in separate realities anyway. But what that meant to me is that I never felt jealous, or I can't say that I never felt insecure thinking. It's impossible, because we get all sort of thoughts going on. But I didn't entertain insecure thinking, mostly because I was secure in myself, in who I am. I say, I can see clearly who I am. If you can't see clearly,
Yeah, but isn't that
interesting? Glasses, or go find someone else. Yes,
that's actually really helpful to hear, because now the only difference between your experience of that relationship and not worrying about it, was the only difference was the way you were thinking. It was only thought. And most people don't see that. Most people are convinced that it's the outside circumstances, it's the way their partner is behaving, it's the way, and they've got so many of us are brought up with so many rules about love. That if someone loves me, they will do this, and if someone loves me, they will do that, and if someone loves me, they will think this and should show me this, and so on. And it's just thinking, and if you really are making that person, you have to do this, it's like you're really making it hard for yourself to enjoy a relationship.
Yes, and it's to recognize, if you're having all this sort of thinking, if that person, if they love me, they need to do X, Y, and Z. My question is, how is that working for you? Are you having an enjoyable experience of life or not? Now, I'm not saying if for you is a requirement. It's like, for me, is what I said. If I found out that a partner was shitty on me, I would let them go. But that's my thing, right? Because if they're not happy, may as well stay elsewhere. But this is what I'm saying at this moment. I don't know if you were married and if we had the responsibility of 2 children, would I be acting the same way? No, because I'm just creating thinking. That is not something that I'm dealing with right now. So this is my position at the moment, as I see it at the moment. But if someone else is having a different experience, I would say, always trust your wisdom, your inner wisdom, your inner guidance. But come from that place of a quiet place, and asking yourself really what would create the most for all involved, because life is short. I'm turning 40 this year, and I was like, oh my God, I'm almost 40. Life is just a dream. Like that. And if you want to, why would you want to choose to spend the next 20, 40, 60 years of your life unhappy with all that thinking? It's not.
Yeah.
It's a choice. If people want to choose that, that's absolutely fine, but it's only a choice.
That's true. And at the same time, it doesn't seem like that. I mean, it's easy for us to say that, but I know it doesn't seem like that. If for example, somebody finds out, somebody's in love with a partner and then finds out that they are seeing someone else. Yeah, there are choices, like you say, you can choose, but usually the first thing, people are going to feel hurt and angry, or there's different people who feel different things. As you say, you might feel angry, you might feel, well, it's his loss or her loss or whatever, or you might feel betrayed, or you might feel, depending on what your thoughts are telling you, and only depending on what your thoughts are telling you. So but you don't have to change your thinking. That's the thing, is once you realize that's just my thoughts telling me that, what we're talking about is not about finding a way to change your thoughts. What we're talking about is, and because we haven't talked a lot about the principles themselves, have we? So actually this might be a good opportunity to do that a little bit.
Yes.
What we're not, so what we're talking about is that all human beings have thoughts passing through. We all have thoughts passing through our minds all the time. We can't stop that. We're not in control of what thoughts come and go, even though we might try. And sometimes we can make ourselves think about something in particular for a short time. But even if we do, that's why meditation gets so hard for a lot of people, because you decide you're going to focus on just being at peace, and then thoughts are coming and thoughts are coming and thoughts are coming. and because we are one with universal mind, universal intelligence, we are always going to have a constant flow of different thoughts, new thoughts coming from through universal mind, from universal mind, flowing through us, because we're part of that. So the choice that we have is whether to get attached to any of those thoughts or not, whether to actually follow them, or get into the story, and get, oh yes, I'm really into this. This one's true. This one's true. I'm going to hang on to this one, and I'm going to really hang on to this one. And then, but if we don't, if we just let them go, another one will come along, and another one will come along, and the understanding is that we are perfect, and in our natural state we are happy, and it's only if we get attached to uncomfortable thoughts, busy thoughts, insecure thoughts, like you said, if we get attached to insecure thoughts, we will have insecure feelings. We'll feel uncomfortable. And if we so our feelings are a clue to what thoughts we are following. And we don't have to do anything about it. Just noticing is enough. Noticing is enough.
Yes, and what I would like to add is, in a more, I guess, practical aspect of it, within the context of infidelity. And if you remember, the first question I asked was infidelity to yourself or infidelity to another. And for me, when I'm thinking in terms of infidelity to yourself, is betraying your own knowing, because thoughts are going through your mind all the time. That's correct. And if you're feeling anxiety that your partner may be cheating on you, it could be several things. It could be like, okay, you're just freaking out, and he's not required really, because he's adding a lot of thinking that does not allow you to be present in the relationship and enjoying the person you are with. And the other side, it could be your wisdom telling you that something is off. And sometimes we've got women that, the people are telling, the girlfriends are telling something's not right, and you are like, oh, never mind. I was like, something's not right, never mind. And then 5 years down the line, she finds out, and she was like, how come you never told me? And I was like, we've been telling you for ages. So the person is being unfaithful to their own knowing, because we can delude ourselves very easily, in a sense, because we can use thought either way. And the only purpose of thought is to make us believe that whatever we're thinking is real. It's just the way the human experience is created and generated from the inside out. So we are having these thoughts, and whatever we are thinking is that what we are experiencing moment to moment to moment. And it's when we allow ourselves to get into that quiet place, that is more likely that fresh new insight will come through. Now, that said, sometimes when we are in a very stressful situation, everything stops, our thinking freezes, as a spur of insight comes along. Quick example. So someone is about to they are crossing the road and they are from a different country. For example, over here in UK, we're crossing, the flow of traffic goes in a different direction from Portugal. And if someone is crossing the road and looking at a different flow of traffic, they're not aware that if they're not turning, now you're going to help me with this one, please, because I'm putting the two in my mind and it's making me confused. So we need to look left. Is the flow of traffic comes left or comes from the right?
From the right.
Yes, so if the flow of traffic is coming from the right and the person is looking to the left, they're not going to see the car, so they're more likely to get hit. And that may propel, all of a sudden they wake up for the moment and they are really present, and then they avoid that impact. And that is the seed of wisdom that jolts them to be awake, instead of going to the normal thinking that you always look to the other side and say, okay, danger, wake up. Or I remember just another story. Can I share?
Sure, of course.
So this is someone that I interviewed in the other day. A lady that she's very successful in what she does. She wrote 3 books and many other amazing things and projects she's working on. And she was telling me that she got married very, very early. And she got married early I believe if I remember well, in her early 20s. And she had 3 kids, very close to each other. And one of the things that she kind of realized is that her husband was kind of always telling things that would put her down, right? Like, for example, someone could say, oh, you look lovely. Have you bought that dress from the charity shop or something like that? So it was always a slicing, always slicing. And in the beginning, she didn't think anything of it. But then after 10 years of being into the marriage, and that started building up, all of a sudden, one of these days, a question came up into her mind. The whisper of wisdom was like, is this normal? So she went to spoke with a friend. Is this normal? You know, the guy's always like saying all these things. And then she went to speak with a solicitor. Is this normal? Because for the first 10 years, she didn't realize that wouldn't be normal. and then she had a conversation with solicitor, and it came like, no. That is highly non-functional thing. So she filed for divorce, and she left the husband behind, and she got into a house to the 3 kids, and all of a sudden she had no job. So she had to start her life up there. Fast forward, she's doing really well, and all her kids are now adults. But it's like, until she had that whisper of wisdom, the question, I don't know what she was doing at the moment, was like, is this even normal?
Yeah.
It never occurred to her. Because she was so in the middle of it. Yes.
Yeah. The thing is that what I like to remember is that there's a story coming to my mind as well, which because what I was thinking was, no, I'll come back to that. So there was, because I don't know why this story is coming to my mind. It's not about infidelity. It's about how thinking affects a relationship. So this couple came to see me because they really loved each other, and they hadn't yet had children, but they were so unhappy that they couldn't see how they were going to continue in their relationship. They really loved each other, but they were all the time arguing, and they couldn't understand why and what had gone wrong. And they really wanted to make it work. They both really wanted to make it work, but they couldn't see how they could possibly do it. And when we looked at what was going on, and I asked them to tell me in turn what was going on, well, what it was that she felt she had this idea. This was about like the rules I told you about. She had this idea it's like when we first get together in couples, we tend to do lots of things that make the other person feel really good. Okay, so we say nice things, and we give them nice things, and we do nice things, and so on. But as time goes on, we tend to do less of those things unless we're in a clear place. But most people, when they're not clear, tend to get into the habit of doing only the things that they know would make them feel good. Okay. So these two had got into this situation where she came from a family where they found it very difficult to express their feelings. She really, really loved him, but she found it really difficult to tell him that she loved him. Okay. So she did things to show him that she loved him instead. Okay. She found it really difficult to say it. So she would clean the house and make his dinner and do whatever she could to make him know that he was loved. And he really needed to hear. For him, his rule was, if you love somebody, you tell them. Okay. And so he was dying for her to tell him, and because she wasn't, he was getting really irritated, and then of course, because he was getting irritated and they were getting irritated, and they she didn't feel like making love because there was, the feeling wasn't good between them, and that made him think even more that she didn't love him. And the more he tried to make love with her, the more and show her that he loved her and show her physically, the more she was like, oh no, that's just trying to get something from me, right?
Which you want.
Instead of it's trying to show me something, it's trying to give me something, it's trying to get something from me. All this thought going on, so what I went through was just getting them to see where their thoughts were, how their thoughts were doing that, and how they really wanted the same thing, but they were in a total misunderstanding. One was trying to give love in one way and think that they needed it in another way, and the other one was trying to give love in a different way completely and thinking that they needed it, that it had to be shown in this way. And when they saw that, it was like, oh my God. It's just like they were just, it solved everything. They were just, from going from, we really think we're going to have to get divorced because we cannot see any way of staying together, we are so miserable, to, oh, is that all it was? In like less than an hour. It was so nice, yeah. So that's just to show how our insecure thinking can get in the way. Whereas if we just allow it to flow, then we get thoughts from universal mind, which are just about loving and experiencing ourselves and who we really are.
And something that occurred to me, and in that story, I guess for them, their wisdom was to seek out help. They reached out to you and they had a conversation in 1 hour. You were able to guide them in a direction that helped them to see exactly what was going on. So you don't have to solve your problems by yourself. If you're not seeing clearly, reach out. You got Dr. Ann Curtis, or if you want to reach out myself, Clesia Mendes, and let's see how we can support each other, really.
Absolutely, because because a lot of when I used, in the past, when I before I understood about thinking, sometimes the difference with understanding the principles is that it's going right back to our core self. It's about that we are perfect already, it's only our misunderstanding about who we are and where we are and what we are that's the problem. And everyone is perfect. So all human beings are doing the best they can in the situation they're in, with the information and the resources they have in that moment. And those resources may change from moment to moment because our thoughts and our feelings change from moment to moment. And so it's understanding, like your friend that you said was being emotionally abused or verbally abused by her husband. He was doing his best. He was doing the best he could because he had insecure thinking. But that doesn't mean to say that she needed to stay around and put up with it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's understanding. You don't have to hate him. You don't have to think, oh, he's a bad person, or judge him in any way. There's no point in judging people. Or if you find out that a partner's... Actually, this is a very interesting question, because a lot of people, when they find out that a partner has been unfaithful to them, has had a relationship with someone are stuck in the, well, how can I ever forgive them? You know, could we ever possibly get back together? And could I ever forgive them for this? Well, if you understand that they were doing the best that they could, in, you know, if it, rather than getting angry with them and blaming them and thinking it's their fault that you're feeling the way you are, which in fact is only the way you're thinking about it. But some people will say, oh, well, I can't go back with them because, you know, I can never trust him never to do it again, or her to never do it again. And the point is that they were doing the best that they could in the situation with the resources they had at that time. And if that doesn't change, then yeah, they may go and do it again. However, there are ways that could change, and also.
Oh, well, I can see where you're coming from then.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll hold back for a bit. I'll let you finish your thought.
Come in. Please come in.
What you're saying right now. Yesterday, I was listening to one of Jamie Smart's recordings, and one of the things he said, similar to what you said, is everyone is doing the best they can with their current level of understanding.
Oh, okay.
Right, their current level of understanding. And naturally, I guess we, just to caveat, to ensure and to make it clear, we're not giving advice if you find out that your spouse is cheating on you, that you should either dump them or stay with them. No, what we're saying is trust your wisdom. Trust your wisdom. And yeah, in terms of forgiveness, yeah, we all separate realities. I could say for me would be very difficult. It's like if I'm committed to when I'm in a relationship, I am committed to that person. And for me, the agreement is, if we are in a committed relationship, the other partner sleeping with someone else does not work for me. In the same way that I hold my side of the bargain. And I was speaking with someone over the last weekend. I was in training, a gentleman that has been married for more than 20 years. And he was talking from personal experience. He has been married for, as I said, 20 years. They've got 2 kids. And he said, well, relationships can go either ways when a couple has been together for a long time, or either the relationship deepens, right, or people split up. Now, we never consider splitting up. So for us, it has been deepening as it has been learning about the inside out experience of life. And he has been learning that all of a sudden he was learning something new that his wife wasn't seeing yet, because she wasn't going to the trainings. Okay. And there was a little bit of resistance. They were butting heads, and he was finding it challenging until we had a conversation with someone and said, okay, have you considered to be a bit more compassionate when you're sharing the message, because she's not learning the stuff that you are learning. So you guys are coming from a different place. And once he was able to see that for himself, he was sharing out. They had a really deep and connected conversation. And once again, he felt more in love with his wife, because their agreement to start with is, okay, we are this on the long haul. We're not splitting up. We butt heads. We're staying together, and they want to work on it. So he kept going deeper. And once someone has that depth of relationship, you don't even consider going elsewhere, because it takes time to create something like that. And relationship is a creative. It's always evolving. As people evolve, we keep expanding and growing as human beings. So our understanding of what being is, right? So once you get that depth of relationship with someone else, you wouldn't go elsewhere. Even for I'll use the word sex. I said it already. Oh, well, you wouldn't go there, because it's like you would have so much to lose for a small indiscretion that you don't even consider it. But that's the way I see it.
Yeah. I think it's, and that's the way your thinking works as well. However, it's important to understand that it is possible to think in other ways, and that it can be a judgment. You know, we can be, you know, it's important not to judge someone as bad or good because of their behavior, but rather, as we said, that they are doing the best they can from a state of misunderstanding, because they're if they are doing that, they're in a state of misunderstanding because well, Yeah, someone is, well, there's obviously some misunderstanding in the relationship if that's happening. And so it is still possible, because forgiveness is just about, when you're forgiving someone, you're not actually, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for the other person. You're giving up, that you're just seeing, well, this uncomfortable feeling I have is just, and actually you don't do it. You don't even do it as a choice. It comes naturally. When we try, what I was saying a moment ago was that the difference between this understanding and the sorts of therapy that I used in the past was that the sorts of therapy that I learned previously were based on changing people's behavior or changing their thoughts. Okay, and this is understanding is that we don't need to change our behavior. Our behavior will change automatically when our thoughts change themselves. And it's not about trying to change our thoughts, because it's just allowing thoughts to pass rather than trying to change them. Because when we get busy trying to change our thoughts, then we've got busy thinking again.
Yes.
And that actually is getting in the way of us experiencing ourselves as who and what we are when we're at peace, without all that busy extra thinking.
Something that occurs to me, I don't know, I'm attempting to see from a perspective from the person who thinks that in order to feel alive or connected again, they need to experience a relationship with someone else while they're not committed to the relationship they've got right now. And I guess when they take that next step, they also, number one, they already have been tricked by their thinking.
Yeah.
One thing is to think about, okay, probably I'll be better off if I'm with someone else. Number one, they were tricked by their thinking but that it's okay, is how thinking works. But then they act on their thinking, and that is a different level altogether, because it's like, for some people, what infidelity means different things for different people. Someone is like, okay, if you go in the street and your husband looks to a beautiful woman passing by, is being unfaithful. And for me, that was like, if I see a good looking guy, oh well.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And it's not saying that I'm thinking about leaving my mate. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because he knows me.
Enjoying the view.
Oh yes. It was like, oh no, I've got a good one. I'm keeping my guy. And that is the same thing with men. If I wouldn't find that would be infidelity. If my husband, my boyfriend looks, I wouldn't find infidelity at all. Now, if he's snogging with someone else, that is going too far. No doghouse now. And then if he takes it further, I was like, okay, that's it. You crossed the line now. Off you go. But that is, once again, as you said, that's the way I think. So, and we all have separate realities. Someone else would be, if the partner dreams about someone else or watches on television, they already be unfaithful, and there is all this thinking already.
And also, if you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship where you have children and you've been together for some time and you really do love each other, it could be, for example, that couple that I was telling you about. As you say, they had the wisdom to come and do something about it. They had the wisdom to do that. However, it could have been, what could have happened, and happens in many very similar situations, is that the man, as in that situation, she was avoiding sex and intimacy because of her misunderstandings. And his misunderstanding was that, that means she doesn't love me. And you could understand that he might feel attracted to someone at work, perhaps, who was showing him attraction and who was attracted to him sexually, and who might. Okay, so he might end up having a sexual relationship because of that misunderstanding that his wife is not. And however, he still loves her very much, and then maybe feels really bad that he's done that. Okay, so and at that point, perhaps his wisdom kicks in and thinks, oh, maybe we should get some help for this. Okay, so and maybe his wife has found out about it, which is what quite often happens, so maybe she found out about it, and maybe he wanted her to find out about it to precipitate something happening. Okay. And then there's the possibility that they could get some help together and understand what was going on in exactly the same way that they did with me. And then there wouldn't be any need for him to go anywhere else.
I can see where you're coming from. And for me, that is buying into the story that people are telling themselves. And
but okay, so he was in the misunderstanding at that time, and his wisdom hadn't told him to go and get some help for that at that time, or he hadn't heard his wisdom. He was too busy in his thinking, right? And many of us do get busy in our thinking. It happens. We get busy in our thinking. So he gets busy in his thinking, and can't see another way out, and get some comfort like that, and then regrets it. And that very often happens. I mean, I'm not saying it always happens, and some people are just. The other thing that I just that just came to me was I saw one of these, these quotes things, and it said, if the grass looks greener on the other side, water your own grass.
Now that is a smart move.
I thought that was a really good one. Yeah, I thought that was a really good one. Yeah, I've never seen that one before. I thought that was really good. Let's put that on the page. Yeah. So it's easy to say. I mean, it's easy to say when you've got this is the way to do it, and this is the way, and this is what it would. And especially when you know, like we know now, about where our feelings are coming from, that they're coming, and our experience of life is coming only from our thoughts, not from the fact that my partner is doing this, or my partner is doing that, or isn't doing this, or isn't doing that. So it's relatively easy. However, if you're in a situation where your partner didn't know that, and then having done something that they regret, like, it's not that we all do things that we regret over time. And yes, we may, but it seems such a shame to lose a whole relationship with children and so on. Do you see what I mean? For when somebody does regret it and is willing to look for is then at the point where wisdom is saying, okay, so, there is something you can do about this.
Someone that came to mind right now, it was Bill Clinton. I didn't have relationships with that woman, the guy. And it was incredible that his wife kept him.
It's incredible to you that his wife kept him. Yeah.
It was incredible that his wife kept him, because it was like she didn't have a suspicion. There was evidence, and the entire thing became public. And yeah, she kept him. Now, she had her own reasons. As we said, we're not judging over here. But the point that I would like to bring is that I don't know. Maybe this is where you wanted to guide the conversation, but hadn't arrived to this point yet. What the point is, if you find out that your partner has cheated on you, that does not tell you anything about you.
No.
That does not tell you anything about you as a woman. That does not tell you about anything about you as a human being. That does not tell you about if you're more attractive, less attractive. No, that does not tell you anything about you. And that is the aspect of you becoming unfaithful to yourself, because someone takes an action, and then you take someone else's action as a reflection on yourself.
Which is not.
Which is not, yes. And it's very important if someone, if the partner has cheated, whatever the choice you're going to take, your choice, trust your wisdom, and be aware that whatever they did has nothing to do with you, because they were believing their own thinking. They believe all the whatever was going on in their minds. And yes,
as in that partners, in the ones that we've just talked about, he thought, and he could have blamed her. He would have been blaming her because she's not being intimate with me, and she's not. And she could have blamed herself for when she realised what it was about. She could have said, "Oh yes, it's because I haven't been intimate with him," and it wasn't because of that. It was because he misunderstood what that meant. Exactly. It was his thinking that was misunderstanding that. Exactly. Yeah.
And that is very important, because I was
Clesia, can you just move your microphone a little bit nearer to your mouth, because it's going quiet again now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it better now? Thank you. And that is very important, because on the other day, actually it was about 2 months ago, I was coaching a client that is based in Brazil, and we've known each other for a couple of years. That's how we reach out on Facebook. And first of all, the conversation, he started saying, "Oh, my relationship with my wife is not working, blah blah blah." And as a good coach, I listened to what he was telling without buying the story. I was like, okay, so what exactly does he want? What he would like to create in his life? What is the misunderstanding here? What is getting on the way? And as the conversation progressed, first he started by telling that his wife didn't want to be intimate anymore, and he wasn't enjoying, and then he remembered how our wife had been supportive because he had moved to a different country. We met actually each other in Portugal, and he got married after he came from he traveled from Portugal to Brazil, and then he had the guilt because his wife had been so supportive, how he couldn't feel connected to her anymore. And then later on it came the conversation that actually he was having an affair with another married woman.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And her husband was quite cool with it because apparently he wasn't the first one. So he was attempting to blame the woman that he cheated with, because now he was feeling guilty about his relationship, and his relationship is getting worse. And if I were to buy the story, I would say, grow up, mate. Please grow up. You've been there, done that. Don't use the excuse, number one, to blame the other woman and not to blame your wife. But coming from a place of compassion, really, and what's going on, not compassion, just do compassion. That's what I'm talking about. And it became very clear it wasn't misunderstanding, and he wasn't seeing really where his source of connection, love, of intimacy was coming from. He thought that source of connection, intimacy, love, passion, everything else that was either connected to his wife or connected to his lover or connected to all these other women that he desired out there that he couldn't have physically because he was not committed, he was not being married.
So he thought it all comes from outside.
Yes, and the more he tried to solve his misunderstanding, the more his real life, more complicated his life became, because he was living an outside-in paradigm instead of inside-out.
Not realizing he had everything he needed already, everything he was looking for.
Absolutely, yes. And naturally, women knew the thing. His wife knew something was off. So naturally, she was like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's so interesting. And the reason why I don't know, it's a very serious situation, and it's comical at the same time, because it's just like seeing when you see dogs chasing their own tail. The dog doesn't know it, and it's very dramatic for the dog, but someone that sees from the outside was like, oh my god, that is so comical. It's your tail, let it go.
Yeah.
And if the dog gets it, you will say, oh, that takes so much out of my mind. But I haven't finished yet. But if the dog doesn't take it, it will like, cool, it's my tail. Now, how do I stop chasing it? It's like, okay. Yeah, I just not see it, right?
Yeah. What I've found is that quite a lot of people do sort of see the logic of it, but still don't get it. Okay, and are still stuck in those uncomfortable feelings and wanting to change their thoughts. Wanting to, and that doesn't work either. So,
that's a good point, Anne. I was about to ask you. So, if someone that would they get it intellectually, but they still don't see it. They don't have anybody understanding of it yet. There are any sort of resources that you could recommend for someone that would like to learn more?
What I use, but I've found is very useful, is a trick. Not the trick of asking the questions. Another trick. Okay, so, and this was an insight I had, and although at the time I had the insight, my wisdom was telling me that I should share it with other people. I was still, it's an insight. It's my, maybe, well, anyway. So I have shared it with a few people recently, and people have found it useful. So, and it's a bit like the asking questions that we've talked about before, trick. So it's a trick that you don't really need, but actually it does help, or it can help if you're stuck in that situation. So what happened was that I was at the time I was stuck in a lot of emotions myself. I was stuck in a lot of emotions and didn't know what to do with them, and was asking for guidance on what do I do with this, because I know that it's not helpful for me or for the other people I'm trying to help. For me to be stuck in this feeling. It was when I was my mother was dying, and I was trying to help her, and I was feeling very upset that I wasn't being able to do enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that getting stuck in that thinking and in that feeling wasn't helping. And so I was asking for help about what to do about it. And suddenly what came to me as an insight was these 3 phrases in my head, and to keep saying these 3 phrases.
Mm.
And I don't know if I've mentioned these to you before, Clesia, but the 3 phrases are: don't let this go, don't let it fade, and just trust.
Mm.
Okay. So, and as I said that, it was just such a relief, because when you try to let go of a feeling, if you're trying to let go of a feeling, or you're trying to let go of a thought, the more you try, the more busy your mind gets. Okay.
Mm.
So when you say to yourself, don't let this go,
Mm-hmm.
you stop fighting it. You just stop fighting it. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't have to let it go. I can just let it be.
Mm.
And at the same time, what's even better is, at the same time, it's like saying to your mind, don't think about a blue elephant.
Mm-hmm.
So while you're saying to your other than conscious mind, don't let go of this, it's just getting on and doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but the main thing is you're just not trying anymore. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, oh, just let go of it, just let go of it. But the more you try to let go of something, the more involved you're getting in busy thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So the phrase, so you just say, don't let this go. Don't let this go. Okay. Don't let it go. And don't let it fade is just a reinforcement of that. It's just the same thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then just trust is, you just trust in who and what we really are. So you're stepping into the infinite and trusting that we do heal ourselves, that we do heal emotionally, that we are healed. It's one of the other things that I was thinking about was this thing about if we cut ourselves. If we cut ourselves, and it's a clean cut, if it's a clean cut, then it will just, we don't have to make it heal, right? It just heals itself. And emotionally, it's the same thing. If we just allow it to heal, if we just don't do anything, so if we say, don't let this go, just don't do anything, it will just heal itself, and we will find our natural self, our natural balance.
Yeah, that's a nice technique. And for me, what occurs, I tend to use whatever is easy and simple. I'm always looking for the easiest, quickest way, because I only have 24 hours a day, so I don't have much time. 24 hours like everyone else. And for me, one of the, I guess, techniques or tools that I use is I just ask myself, it's like, wow, what else is possible?
Yeah.
How does it get any better than this? And for people who follow me on Facebook, they know that I write that a lot. Yeah. How does it get any better than this? What else is possible? And it's just to create the space.
Yeah.
Ask the question, create the space, and all these other things.
That's why using the questions is always using questions is just opening yourself up to allowing it to come to you, isn't it? Like the questions we've talked about before. And that, I mean, this way I spoke about doing it, you can turn into questions too. But it just came to me, and I thought, okay, that's an insight, I'll use it, and it's another way, and it does work.
Yeah.
It does work. Just, it works by not working. It works by, like the questions that you're asking, it just works by stopping you from trying to work.
Exactly. Whatever comes to you in your mind in a moment, just trusting that wisdom will come through you. That's it, and will bring you the lightness instead of you trying to wrestle with it. I was like, no. If you have to ask 3 questions or ask 2 questions, whatever is relevant for you. And so, where can people find this?
Yeah. Okay. So, if they would like to know more, they'd like to speak to us personally, or they'd like to, talk to us about whatever's going on for them. So they can get see more resources too about the things that we've done before, the talks that we've done before, and also lots of other videos that other people have made around this subject. And so that's all at Facebook gmail.com/MakeLoveForLife.
And it's all spelled out,
All
or?
spelled out, MakeLoveForLife, yes, just like on here. So, and there should be a link with this video as well. So
that is
you
delicious.
can just go there. Or they can actually email us as well at MakeLoveForLife, also all spelled out, MakeLoveForLife@gmail.com.
Okay, that is brilliant. So, if you were with us until now, thank you very much for staying. This was another episode of Make Love for Life, Love by Valentines, with myself, Clesia Mendes, and the wonderful Dr. Anne Curtis.
Thanks,
So, I'll see you next time.
Yes,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.